European leaders are fed up with Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, and they're essentially saying, F this guy. And can you really blame them, as Donald Trump's MAGA movement leaders like MAGA Republican Senator Mike Lee says the following: time to leave NATO. Let's go. Who else is with President Trump on this? In response to a post saying Donald Trump is reportedly considering withdrawing the U.S. from NATO. By the way, that shouldn't come as a surprise. That's what Donald Trump said during the campaign. He posted videos of himself that basically parroted Russian propaganda that he wants to pull the U.S. out of NATO. He made a number of videos that basically said that. By the way, this is the article from Politico. Is this the end of NATO? Quote, we've now got an alliance between a Russian president who wants to destroy Europe and an American president who also wants to destroy Europe. One European diplomat said. So what's going down right now? Well, Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister of the UK, announced, quote, I'm ready to put British troops into Ukraine. The Telegraph was one of the first to report this, citing that the Prime Minister of the UK's announcement will now put pressure on European leaders to do the same at the Paris Emergency Summit that is taking place. You'll recall from our prior reporting that French President Emmanuel Macron called on all European leaders who support democracies, that is, so not Hungary, all European leaders who support democracy to have this emergency meeting where they will be discussing how they will unite to have Ukraine's back, because Donald Trump is capitulating. What they see Donald Trump doing is a bigger version of what Trump did with the Taliban during the Trump administration one. What Putin always wanted was Trump to kiss Putin's ring, to have the Trump administration go to Putin, and for Putin to negotiate directly with Trump on the fate of Ukraine and cut out Ukraine and Europe from the negotiations and the deal. And that is precisely what Putin and Trump agreed to do, to have a meeting in Saudi Arabia and to leave out Europe and to leave out Ukraine. Now, President Zelensky of Ukraine said, under no circumstance will we ever accept any deal where we're not invited to negotiate at the table, making that strong statement. So you have this meeting taking place in France, and you have Keir Starmer saying in an exclusive article for the Telegraph that the Prime Minister of the UK is saying that he will be agreeable to putting troops in Ukraine and wants to call upon Europe to have a European army, essentially, to go into Ukraine to check Vladimir Putin. I want to share with you this as well, though. This is the chairman of the Munich conference right here, Christoph Euskin. And at the closing of the Munich conference, after seeing the grand betrayal by the United States, you have Euskin over here bursting into tears on stage right here, and basically saying this betrayal of Europe, this betrayal of NATO, this betrayal of Ukraine by the U.S. made this Munich conference very reminiscent of other meetings in Munich, which led to the rise of Hitler. And right now, Europe is trying to avoid all of that same fate by uniting together. Play this clip.
Excellency, this conference started as a transatlantic conference. After the speech of Vice President Vance on Friday, we have to fear that our common value base is not that common anymore. I'm very grateful to all those European politicians that spoke out and reaffirmed the values and principles that they are defending. No one did this better than President Zelensky. Let me conclude, and this becomes difficult.
So all that is going down. What's Donald Trump doing? Donald Trump is comparing himself to Napoleon. What do I mean by that? Trump is posting images of Napoleon with this quote, "He who saves his country violates no law." And you see what Donald Trump is responding to was one of the federal orders that blocked Trump's action. In this case, Trump's action to try to freeze critical money that was already appropriated for various government agencies. And Trump is basically saying that he will rule as a dictator and he will not be following any court orders. And him comparing himself to Napoleon also sends a major message to Europe there, but it should be noted too. Trump uses the language of the dictator. There's the language of Putin and Trump are virtually indistinguishable. The one difference is when Putin makes that threat, Putin usually does the thing. He'll go and try to annex or conquer the country. When Donald Trump has threatened to annex Canada, for example, Donald Trump just agreed that Canada can provide a fentanyl czar and otherwise just agreed to the exact same arrangement that existed under the Biden administration. And Trump tried to declare that as like a victory. Or when Donald Trump threatened that he was going to unleash hell in Israel or in Palestine, rather, if Hamas didn't return all the hostages, then they didn't. And then Donald Trump didn't unleash hell, and he goes, well, I'll just leave it to whatever Benjamin Netanyahu wants to do. So you have this meeting in Europe now taking place, and then you have this meeting that Donald Trump has arranged with Vladimir Putin's team and Trump's team to try to cut Ukraine out. As Ilya Pomerenko, who writes for the Kyiv Independent, explains, cool, so Putin gets premium treatment as a revered dear partner, as well as everything he has stolen and even much more. Ukraine gets spit in the face and extorted $500 billion bill, no security guarantees, and a guaranteed new Russian offensive to kill it as soon as Russia is ready. The art of the deal, one of the things that Pomerenko is referring to is the fact that Donald Trump's team tried to get Zelensky to sign away all of their rare minerals without any security guarantee. And then Trump is trying to get Zelensky to put down all arms and then allow Putin to regain, additional forces, which would ultimately be very detrimental to Ukraine. What I like is that French President Emmanuel Macron was not just going to allow this meeting to happen in Saudi Arabia without Europe. And Macron goes, this afternoon I spoke on the phone with Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman to review the situation in the Near and Middle East. He then talks about the situation in Gaza, which, by the way, is focused on a two-state solution, not Donald Trump trying to level it or to occupy it with American forces. And then he goes, finally, I spoke with the Crown Prince about Russia's war in Ukraine and the role Saudi Arabia could play in fostering solid and lasting peace. Here's the key line: with Europeans at the center of the process. You see what Macron did there? With Europeans at the center of the process. In other words, we're going to be there. You are not going to cut us out. Here is Zelensky at the Munich conference calling on the type of European armed forces that you hear Kiev Starmer now also being agreeable to play this clip.
Дуже дякую вам.
Thank you very much.
Дякую вам дуже. Дякую.
And then Donald Trump was asked at the tarmac or on the tarmac about Vance, saying, it seemed that Vance was saying, are you okay with the U.S. having military troops in Ukraine? And it seems that that Trump and Vance's incompetence is matched, or their corruption is matched by their incompetence. Play this clip. President Vance said that the United States will potentially take military action against Russia if they won't come to an agreement. He would bring the fact hand. I don't know. That's what he said. I don't think he said that. And as I mentioned, the Trump playbook about these negotiations with Putin, it's bigger and more devastating by multiples, but it's the same playbook when he capitulated to the Taliban, right, where he sent the Secretary of State at that time, Mike Pompeo, to negotiate directly with the leader of the Taliban. Then America allowed the Taliban to really, release all the forces and basically take over Afghanistan in exchange for absolutely nothing. They then took over Afghanistan and then blamed it on Biden. They even invited the Taliban to Camp David on September 11th. Go figure that right there. And then they made it so American troops would be subject to very dangerous situations in Afghanistan during the withdrawal that Trump was too afraid to do, and that Biden ultimately did, and they tried to blame everything on Biden. Now, I'll leave you with this meme right here of J.D. Vance. This is real. This is not AI. This is what J.D. Vance was doing during his college or law school days. This is how he was dressing up, I think, for Halloween. But even though it's Halloween, like sometimes your costume reveals a little bit. Sometimes you see what he's wearing right there. Anyway, we'll keep you posted about this meeting in Europe and what's happening. Let me know what you think in the comments below. We'll get back to you soon. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 5 million subscribers. Thanks for watching.